Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Internet Citadel Show. We are so excited to have you tonight and our special guest. But first, I'd like to introduce you to my business partner and dear friend, Brian Kelly. What I want to tell you about Brian is that he has over 23 years of software experience. He's actually a software engineer, and in addition to that, Brian was a co-owner of a travel-based multi-level marketing company for 6.5 years, so he has lots of experience. In addition to that, Brian has been involved in depth with social media. He does social media consulting and social media programming, and if you take a look below at our tweet performance banner, you can see some of the program that Brian has put together is absolutely phenomenal. In addition to that, Brian is a budding speaker, and he is also the guy that put together this technology that you see before us. So I don't want to take any more time from our special guest tonight, but Brian, welcome to the show. I'm excited to spend another Tuesday evening with you.
Oh, right back at you, Kathy. Thank you once again for another glowing introduction. But wait, there's more, because we are now going to talk about my wonderful friend and business partner, Kathy Stover. She is literally the glue that holds this show together. It would not take place if it hadn't been for Kathleen, all the behind-the-scenes work that she does every single day to pull this together. It's quite a feat, to be honest. She's got a lot of incredible background, including an operations manager and sales manager for over 25 years with a Fortune 500 company. That's very impressive. I like to call her affectionately, and I do this every time, the affiliate marketing queen. She has affiliate expertise and dating back to the early 90s. And this woman can sell literally anything on the internet. Okay, not anything, because that would cover way too many things, but she is very, very good at it. The best I personally know and have ever met in my life at that forte. She's very, very good. She also has network marketing experience of her own right, and in fact, this is how we met. But that's a different story, dating back to the mid-'80s. In addition to that, this young lady is also a power seller on eBay. She has a certificate somewhere back there behind her on the wall to prove it. She's also a top-rated seller on eBay. Those are not easy to come by. That's also a certificate that was mailed to her in the mail for her. She is also, as she pointed out, I am a budding speaker. So is she, because we are going to be doing some public speaking together in the very near future. But with that, I want to send it back to you, Kathy, so we can get on with our wonderful, wonderful special guest tonight.
Absolutely. Well, I have to put on my eyeballs because I can't see, you know. But the person that I want to share and tell you about tonight is our friend Linda P. Jones. She's the CFP and CEO and founder of Visionary Wealth Now and the Global Institute of Visionary Wealth. Prior to that, she was a regional vice president of institutional funds, mutual funds, and hedge funds for a major stock brokerage firm for 9 years, where she was responsible for territorial sales, of over $200 million annually. That's incredible. I was in sales. Let me tell you, that's absolutely amazing. She's been in the financial services industry for over 27 years. Something else I want to tell you about Linda is that she was born and raised in Seattle, Washington, and she graduated from the University of Washington with a BA in business. Linda began her career in financial planning with Foster, Marshall, and Shearson, and was promoted to their offices in San Francisco and New York City, where she had the pleasure of working at the World Trade Center. At the young age of 27, after studying dozens of classic millionaires like Rockefeller, Carnegie, Getty, Onassis, and many others, she began teaching how to become a millionaire, which became her 8-step wealth blueprint for creating her own future. Linda is a board and investment committee member for SightLife. It's a leader in cornea recovery and transplantation, an investment committee member of the Sunset Club, and speaker and committee advocate for the Living Legacy Foundation. It's a leader in organ donation. She founded the Global Institute of Individual Investors and the Visionary Investor to follow her passion for investing and teaching others how to have investment success and success to build wealth. I would like to introduce Brian and I. She has become our dear friend,
Yes, she has.
Linda P. Jones.
Thank you. It's
Welcome,
great to
Linda.
be here with you too. Thank you. It's great to see you.
Hi, Linda. Welcome to the show. It's fantastic having you on. That was quite a introduction by Kathy. A lot of information, but if you don't mind, in your own words, if you could give us your business background so our viewers might know where you're coming from on that.
Well, absolutely. Well, as Kathy mentioned, I did spend 27 years in the financial industry. It's going on 28 now. And it really started, though, when I was young, because I've always had a passion to learn about wealth building, and I always wanted to be rich. Ever since I was a little kid, I just decided I wanted to be rich. And so I read Think and Grow Rich when I was 10 years old. I read every book about investing, positive thinking, you name it, I've read it, and all the autobiographies that Kathy mentioned and a lot more. So I just have always immersed myself with the whole idea of wealth building. And I, did get into the industry. I got a business degree, became a certified financial planner, thinking I would learn about building wealth there. And I really didn't feel like I learned, what the actual steps were to becoming wealthy. So I kept searching and searching, and over time I discovered that there were 8 steps that most millionaires have in common, that I created this blueprint for myself, and after several years became a millionaire following that blueprint.
Wow. That's quite a story and a lot of information. And of course, Brian and I can cheat a little bit because you've been mentoring us, and
Yes.
we're certainly moving in some different directions than we had started out to. But what I want to ask you is, what do you think about the law of attraction and The Secret? How is that important in what it is that you teach?
Well, even though a lot of my work experience has been in the traditional financial world, I don't think of myself as a traditional financial expert. I think of myself as someone who kind of starts with The Secret and starts with mindset, because that's actually step 1, is having a wealthy mindset. So I deal with from having a wealthy mindset all the way to the investment world, and actually, what makes good investments, and teaching a lot about that, to creating your own legacy. So I kind of span the mindset of The Secret. It starts there. The foundation of all wealth is to build wealth in your mind first and with your thoughts. And as you and Brian and I have been talking, it's so crucial that you get your mindset right, that you get it set in gratitude and the right vibration, the right thoughts, because a lot of people have blockages that they don't even realize. They're subconscious blocks that they have basically from their childhood. And so I deal with how to recognize those blocks that are keeping people from building the wealth that they want to build. But it goes much beyond that. So it goes way beyond The Secret too.
And it's interesting. I wanted to interject something here that, a lot of people that watch this or hear this for the first time will think this is kind of out there, a little bit crazy, if you will. But one thing I've learned, and Kathy has learned as well along her path and now ours together for 3+ years together doing business, is that everyone we see stroll across the stage, a professional speaker or someone who has made it on the internet or whatever business venue you might look at, like Linda is in the investment field, they all come up with a very similar, blueprint, if you will. And the number one common theme I always seem to hear is mindset, mindset, mindset. It always starts with the mind, and many people struggle with it. I did myself initially as well. So just for those of you that have that little feeling of this seems a little bit strange, we can feel that, we understand that if that's what you're going through right now. But the key is, when you see someone like Linda talk about it, and you see another individual talk about it, and you start seeing this pattern emerge, the only recommendation we can give you is to follow their advice. That's all. Just drop the ego and go forward with what they're telling you. As Kathy mentioned, Linda is our mentor, and she has given us some phenomenal advice, including what you're hearing about right now about mindset. And I don't want to steal the whole microphone, but be sure to click on her nose right up here. Not during the show. If you're listening on Blog Talk Radio, be sure to, and by the way, this is our first simulcast, because Kathy put it all together, worked her wizardry, and we have Blog Talk Radio going on. So it's not just my technology, Kathy. But if you're listening to Blog Talk Radio,
we're hoping.
Yeah, if you listen on Blog Talk Radio, you can go to internetcitadel.com at a later time, and you can click on Linda's nose on her picture. That will take you to her Facebook, so be sure to connect with her there. But in addition to that, she has a banner beneath us, the Global Institute of Visionary Wealth. Be sure to click on that as well and gain more information. We'll talk more about that in a minute. But you have something, Linda, called a wealth building shortcut, and you call that 8 Steps to Wealth. What exactly is that?
Right. Well, the 8 Steps to Wealth were really created back when I was in my 20s. And just to give you a little bit of background, I did work in Seattle, San Francisco, and New York. I came back to Seattle because my father was ill with cancer, and I knew he didn't have much longer to live. And so I quit my job and moved back to Seattle. I had a little condo there. And after my dad died, I looked after my mom, and I really didn't have a source of income coming in. I just did a little bit of teaching here and there, a little bit of financial planning, but I didn't really know what my direction was. I didn't know what to do. And I actually got to the point where I had no income. Zip nada. So, it got to the point where one day I had to go to my mother and ask her for money to pay my condo mortgage because I was just flat broke. And I kind of hit the bottom right there. And I just said, I've been studying about wealth for years, and I sat on my couch and I tried to visualize being wealthy. That's kind of what I think of the secret is sort of, just you're supposed to think about being wealthy and you're going to be wealthy. Well, that didn't work, and so sitting on your couch and thinking about becoming wealthy isn't the answer. But I also knew that I had studied wealthy people, I'd read books, I knew a lot of information, and I knew that somewhere deep inside I knew what to do. And it just got to a point where I said, I know what it is I need to do. And I sat down and I wrote an 8-step blueprint for myself and followed that blueprint until I was worth $1 million at age 38, and then the next year made $1 million in 1 year. And I really attribute that to putting these 8 steps to wealth to work, because they're the only logical steps that I know of that are the shortest path to wealth that all millionaires have gone through to make their wealth. And I think that my content is the only content that's put it all together. And like I said, I came from the traditional financial world for many, many years. We never talked about the wealthy mindset that happens before you build wealth. Basically, the investment world gets kind of stuck in step 4 of my 8 steps. But we can go through those and I can share with you what all those steps are.
Well, that's something that I wanted to bring up. We were talking about it the other day, that there are all kinds of financial people out there, all kinds of financial planners, and everybody has heard of Susie Orman, right? But
Yeah.
There's something when we get back to mindset and talking about your 8-step blueprint, there are things that you offer, that you do, that is unlike anybody else out there. So that's what makes you unique and important in the gift that you have to share with people in the relationship to mindset and looking at things in a different way. So I think we had discussed about touching on those. And that's what's special about what you do and what you have to offer to our viewers, and you're putting together your new global program so that you can put this out to the world. So I'm excited to move into that direction. Brian, go ahead, hit her with the next set of questions.
Oh, I have too many now. They're swirling in my head. I love this show because we have the most wonderful people on our show. Linda is absolutely upper echelon, top notch of the people we have on our show. She touched on a few things there. One of those is definitely reminded me to say, click on her banner, opt in at her website, and you will get some free gifts as well as something we'll talk about in a moment, a nice Will You Be Wealthy quiz that will take you through some very thought-provoking questions that will help you determine, are you on the right path? I wanted to point out that just recognize, for those of you watching and for those of you listening on Blog Talk Radio, that this is someone who has made it. This is not someone who is just saying this is how to do it and has not made it yet. She doesn't just talk the talk, she walks the walk. Again, highly recommend Listen to every single word. If you don't fully absorb what she's saying on this show, be sure to come back to the recording. It's available for free. Get back on the recording, listen to it several times. With that, I will shut my mouth so we can listen to her, the expert. How did you come to create these 8 steps to wealth? What brought you to that? Was it just...
Well,
Go ahead.
it was the situation that I described where I really hit rock bottom, but it also became like I said, something intuitive to me that I knew. And this is something that we see with a lot of entrepreneurs, and it's not something that's talked about a lot, but I was just listening to Steve Jobs doing a graduation, a commencement address, and he talked about using his intuition. So, I think we're going to hear in the future more people talk about using your inner voice, using your passions, following your passion, using your gifts, and paying attention to that inner voice, because I've had that inner voice tell me certain things over the years, and one of the reasons why I'm here tonight is because I feel I have a global message and I want to teach these steps globally to create more wealth in the world, and I feel that this is something that I'm called to do, and it's something that I will be doing all over the world.
Well, Linda, how has the financial world changed with the way the economy is, as far as investing or the way that we look at what we need to start doing to planning like for retirement and our future or even our more immediate needs?
Well, that's a great question. So much has changed in this economy, and what I really want people to understand is that it's not going to be business as usual. We're not going back to the way things were. We're going into a very, very different time, very different from where we've been. And so doing the things in the way that we used to do them isn't going to work anymore. And the old buy and hold approach with stocks doesn't work anymore. And just, thinking that we can buy a mutual fund and hold on forever, it's not like that. There's quite a lot of things that are changing. The economy's changed. There's quite a lot of different things coming at us that we haven't seen for a long time, that we're going to, for example, we've had lower interest rates over a 30-year period. Interest rates peaked in 1982. They've been coming down lower, lower, lower. For those of you who haven't locked in your mortgage rates right here, go out and get a fixed mortgage, because we're not going to see rates any lower than they are right here for a long time, and possibly for the next cycle we may see interest rates go up for a long time.
Wow.
Well, I know we weren't going to touch on a lot of this stuff, but since you were talking about interest rates, is real estate something that people should consider right now? One of the things that you talk about is investing in your future. So would that be a good investment as a future prospect?
Well, here's what I never understood when I was in the financial industry. We always invested by looking in the rearview mirror. I understood it to the degree that that's legally all that's allowed to do, is to look at track records in the rearview mirror. But what makes sense to me and what I teach people is to look forward, to look at the trends that are coming and not look in the rearview mirror. Because, as you know, we've just been through a real estate bubble. And the bubble peaked about 2007. And usually when bubbles peak, they don't reinflate right away again. They take a long time to actually get rid of the bubble phase and go back to valuations that usually were formed before the bubble even started. So it's quite possible that we might see valuations continue to go down for a period of time. So I'm not a real fan of rushing out to buy real estate right now. Having said that, you probably can buy some bargains at foreclosure or short sales that you might be able to, get some decent cash flow. But in general, it's kind of like the bubble in internet stocks. If you remember in 1999 when internet stocks were going crazy, a lot of people kept buying internet stocks all the way down thinking, oh, I can get Cisco or AOL so inexpensive compared to where it used to sell. And they thought it was a real bargain. But now 10 years later, NASDAQ is still half of what it was in 1999. So We may see that with housing as well. We may not see it reinflate anytime soon, and that's my estimate, is we're not going to see real estate be the next bubble. I do teach people how to recognize bubble tops and when we're in a bubble, and I do teach them to identify the next bubble to invest in so that they can invest in that and make a lot of money before the bubble pops. They can get out and recognize when to get out. So that all of that study and all of that I have put together helped me sell my house at the peak in July of 2007 in Seattle.
Wow.
So I used it myself very successfully.
So
So
again,
that is part of your program for the global program?
That's part of what I teach, is how to recognize bubbles, how to recognize future investment trends, because future trends are usually repeatable and predictable to some degree if you're looking for it and you know what to look for. And so I teach people how to recognize where the next big trend is that's going to be a huge moneymaker, and then teach them how to recognize when everybody's in and it's a mania and you're at the cocktail party and everyone's talking about how they own this thing and they're quitting their job to do it full time, and there's a TV show about it, and all of those signs that we saw at the peak of real estate. That's very typical for the top of a bubble, and you can do that with, you can recognize that from the internet bubble, you can recognize that from the housing bubble, and you'll be able to recognize that in the next bubble that will happen 6, 7, 10 years from now. So
hey, you mentioned
You
quitting
know what,
your job in
Brian,
there.
I want to do quiz.
Well, she mentioned quitting her job in there,
Yes.
and I wanted to touch on that real quick. There's a lot of people that are struggling, that are in the corporate world right now, that really want out, and they want out for their own particular personal reasons. And Linda, you were there too at one time. What made you, what was the decision point that made you want to leave the corporate world and venture out on this, very frightful entrepreneurial branch that you took? That many people are very afraid of taking a risk. What put you into that position?
Well, in my situation, I had a tragedy that put me into that originally. My husband passed away very suddenly from a brain aneurysm in 2005. And while he was in the hospital, I really heard my inner voice saying, you really need to be doing something bigger in the world. The information, the knowledge that you have, you need to be bringing on a bigger scale. You need to be out there sharing your information. So I heard that, and I didn't really know what that meant, but I decided to kind of get my things organized, get my life organized. I found the right time to leave my corporate job and decided that I would just pursue whatever that was that I was meant to do, pursue my passion. And what I found was that I was meant to teach people about wealth and teach people the 8 steps to wealth as a way for them to build wealth and understand wealth in a way that no one has ever taught them, because they didn't learn it in school, and they often didn't learn it from their parents, didn't learn it at home. And so there's really nobody teaching them this very step-by-step approach that's very logical and that follows one to another, that really does build wealth for people. So I realized that my gift was to bring that knowledge to the world. And in addition to that, one of the things I talk about are money engines, which are what things that grow your money. And entrepreneurship is one of the best money engines out there. It's one of the ways that many of the very famous and very successful entrepreneurs that I studied made their wealth. And so I always recommend to people to become an entrepreneur if they have a hobby or a talent or a skill, that becoming an entrepreneur is one of the fastest ways you can compound your wealth and grow your money and become wealthy. And so it's developed into a business for me to really share my information with the world, but it's also just something I really believe in, is being an entrepreneur.
And I want to say the corporate world's loss is all of our gain. We're glad that you took that leap. Very
well
glad,
said.
because like we said earlier, you have already helped Kathy and I personally with our business. We can't measure how much. And I'm not saying that to hype anything. That's just the truth, right, Kathy? We talk about this all the time.
Absolutely, yes.
So again, this is someone who's been through the trenches. She has figured out a system, and time again, we come across folks just like Linda who are very, very successful. And if you just listen to what they say, and not just listen to it, but put it into action. She's got a program. It's unbelievably affordable. that everyone should go hit. We won't go to that just yet, but we wanted to, as Kathy tried to point out, and then I steamrolled her by talking over her, was we want to talk about some...
No, that's good, because I wanted to hear that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Wanted to hear that.
But we have a few questions that Linda has put together that we would like to put out and discuss, and then we'll move into a quiz section. So, Kathy, go ahead and take it away.
Well, you know what? One of the questions, and she has several in the quiz, is why do you want to be rich? What a great question that is.
Absolutely.
So what you're talking about is there's a Will You Be Wealthy quiz, and I put together this quiz because I just wanted a way for people to kind of have a self-assessment of where they were and what they understood about wealth, before we talk about what I have to teach them. And so the second question on the quiz is, why do you want to be rich? And one of the answers is, I want to buy expensive things. Another answer is, I want to live an extraordinary life, or I want to do nice things for myself, my family, and others, or I want to change the world for the better. So I want our viewers to pick their answer of those four, which made the most sense to them. To buy expensive things, live an extraordinary life, do nice things for themselves, their family, and others, or change the world for the better.
Now, I've got a question. Can we not pick all of the above?
I was just going to say that.
You can't pick all of the above. You can't pick all of the above. If you have more than one, then you need to pick the one that you feel strongest about, or the one that applies the most or most often. So the reason that I added this question to the quiz is because people need to make a decision about becoming rich. They need to decide that that's something they want. A lot of people think of becoming rich as like winning the lottery, or it's something that just happens to you. They don't see that it's within their control. And it's my personal opinion that every single person has the ability to become wealthy. It doesn't matter even how much they make for a living. It's a matter of how they spend their money, understanding what to do with their money, and habits and thought patterns that they have. And so the reason I asked this question too is because one of the ways that famous millionaires have talked about becoming rich is by helping the world. And I think it was John D. Rockefeller said, if you're out there helping enough people, there's only one thing that's going to happen, and that is you're going to be embarrassingly rich. So that's pretty amazing to come from, the Bill Gates of his day, to hear him talk about that. So if the correct answer is, if you want to change the world for the better, that is the best wealth building tool that you can have.
All right. So we got the number one answer, and we didn't even have to take the quiz question. I love this. Let's do another one. This is easy. So another quiz question would be, who do you know that could show, guide, or teach you to become rich?
Okay, and what are the choices?
Okay, no one is one choice. A rich friend or relative is another choice, or a financial advisor. And the final choice is a wealth advocate. Oh, there is one more. Other. Okay.
So I promise that not all the correct answers are D. This just happens to be the fourth one again. But I consider myself a wealth advocate because I'm truly focused on just providing wealth for the people that I consider my students or my clients, the people that I coach or the people that I teach. And being a wealth advocate just means that you are completely focused on their benefit and on teaching them how to build more wealth. I'm very grateful for the great career I had on Wall Street. I'm very grateful that I got to do a lot of exciting things, meet a lot of exciting people, deal with very high net worth people, do some very sophisticated things and learn a lot. But I also realize that Wall Street has its limitations, and one of the limitations that it has is that most of these companies that are talking about how to build wealth and teaching people how to build wealth or offering investments, they are publicly traded companies. And that means by law, they have to put their shareholders first above everyone else. So their shareholders that own their stock are the number one priority for them, not the clients who are investing in their products. And so what I realize is that we need a new paradigm. We need a wealth advocate who is totally focused on the client and 100% without conflict, without conflict of interest, looking after just how to teach them to be more wealthy and how to build more wealth in their life. And so I consider myself a wealth advocate, and I would love to be people's guides to show them how to be more wealthy. That's what I love to do.
She's our guide.
That's phenomenal. Well, you know what? This next question on the quiz is something that I'm sure will hit home with a lot of people out there, and it is, what kind of debt do you have? And I'm going to put my eyeballs on so I can read what the choices are here. One is, I don't have any debt. I have debt for my business or real estate. I have credit or credit card debt, car loans or student loans, or I have other debt. So
Right.
You either don't have any, you've got debt for your business or real estate, credit card debt, car loans, student loans, or other debt. That just about sums up all debt.
Right, exactly. So, you know, most people have a mortgage, which is fine. Some people have a car loan. They might even have a boat loan or student loans, whatever. You know, in general, people are trying to pay down their credit card debt, but there's a lot of people that are struggling with debt in general. And what I teach is that debt is a tool. It's not good or bad. It's how you use it. For example, the founders of Google used credit card debt to start Google. I would say that was a pretty good use of credit and of debt. And so debt is neither good nor bad. It's how you use it. So what you want to use it for are appreciating assets. You want to use it for things that are going to generate income that will help you pay back the debt. So that's the key. You want to use it for something that will increase in value or generate income to pay back the debt. You don't want to use it for depreciating items like TVs or vacations or clothing, things like that people can really get caught up in, because obviously there's no way that that's going to become more valuable or help them pay off their debt. So it's going to decrease in value, and that's not a good use of their debt. So the best answer is if you don't have any debt, that would be great. But I actually teach people how to use debt because a lot of very, very wealthy people became wealthy by borrowing money and by using debt. And you've heard the phrase other people's money, or OPM, before. That's a very common strategy for millionaires who borrowed money to become millionaires. But again, they used it on the right money engine that created income so that they could pay off their debt. So I teach a lot about debt, how to leverage correctly, how to leverage at the right time, how to deleverage at the right time, because protecting your wealth and deleveraging is another important strategy, because many millionaires made all this money by being leveraged, and being leveraged at the right time during the boom, for example, during the bubble in real estate, but then they didn't realize when the peak was coming that they needed to deleverage and get rid of some of their debt, and so then they lost everything that they had built up. And so people need to understand how to use debt properly.
I want to thank you for actually saying that debt is a tool. It's neither good nor bad. It just depends on how you use it, because it's basic. You know, debt is like this taboo word out there, even though nearly everybody in America has some debt to some degree. It has that connotation of something really bad. And I know I personally have used debt in the way you are talking about, which is for advancements of businesses by acquiring things that will help me grow my business. I've also used it incorrectly, as you mentioned, by buying things that have no potential for bringing me more wealth. But just for you to say that is such a relief off of the chest of so many people, to say that, it's really not a bad thing. It just depends on how you use it. If you use it for the right purposes, it can be a very good thing. So I really appreciate you bringing that up.
Exactly, Brian. Well, exactly. And there's a lot of guilt associated with debt, especially right now. People who have a lot of credit card debt are really feeling bad about it.
Yes.
They can't stop thinking about it. They're obsessed with it. They're thinking about all the charges that they're paying, how much interest they're paying.
Yeah.
And really what I try to have them do, rather than focus on the debt, I have them focus on how to manifest money that's going to pay off the debt, so that they can focus on bringing that wealth to them that they can turn around and then pay off the debt rather than being so focused on this ugly debt and feeling so guilty about it. If you're paying 12% interest on your credit card debt and you pay it off, that's as if you earned 12% because you're not having to pay that anymore. So you're actually, getting a much better interest rate than you can at the bank right now. So paying off the debt is a great thing. You're doing a great service to yourself and getting a great return for yourself by paying off the debt. In addition to that, I teach people that some of what caused them to get the credit card debt to begin with comes from some of their subconscious beliefs. And those go back to our childhood again. They go back to certain things that they're acting out in certain ways or trying to do certain things that subconsciously, they don't even realize consciously what they're doing. It's in their subconscious. And so they're trying to make themselves feel better or trying to prove a point from something that's subconscious. There's a whole range of things. But basically, after about 5 minutes with someone, I can figure out by asking them questions what in their childhood has caused them to have some of these beliefs and have some of these actions and things that they're doing with debt. So it usually goes back to our childhood, I hate to say, but
wow, literally in 5 minutes?
Often.
You can do that in 5 minutes? That's I'm thinking
I
multiple sessions on a couch, for weeks on end until the psychiatrist can pull it out of you. That's incredible.
Yeah, I'm
I'm
not
serious.
a therapist.
Yes, Linda is our financial
I'm not a
therapist as well
but
as
no,
our mentor.
I have been able.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no,
But
I have been able
Linda,
to do it.
so in other words, it's patterns. It's patterns that we bring from childhood that we see maybe or we carry over from our parents that affect how we manage and deal with not only how we spend maybe, but how we cope with whatever finances we have or debt or, any of that. Is that kind of
Yes, exactly. So I'll give you an example. So one client that I was coaching, she remembered, we were talking about her childhood, and she remembered that her parents were educators and told her that they would never be wealthy and that she would never have a lot of things. And so when she wanted to learn how to ski, all of her friends got new ski equipment, but she had to get used ski equipment. And so when she went skiing with her friends, she was really kind of embarrassed because she had this secondhand equipment. And so we were able to connect how she actually goes on these shopping sprees because she's trying to prove to herself that she actually can afford to have things that everybody else has and that she doesn't have to, have secondhand items, and it makes her feel good enough where she didn't feel good enough from her childhood. So that's just, an easy example of a client that I coached, and we were able to connect the dots so that she could change her current behavior.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, she had no conscious concept that was happening. It was really subconscious from her childhood.
And people will think this is crazy, but I swear to you, Kathy and I had this very discussion yesterday. We were talking about our past and our parents, weren't we, Kathy? You were talking about your dad and mom, and I was talking about my mom and dad as well, and how they impacted our thought processes back then, and how that carried through to our adulthood, and what we have done since then to overcome some of those limiting thoughts and beliefs that were basically taught to us. All parents loved us dearly. Linda's loved her, mine loved me. They meant no wrong by anything they did. They wanted the best, of course.
Oh, they have our best interest.
Obviously, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's nothing to do with that. It's just the way they lived in their beliefs. If you're a child of a parent, you always look up to them, and you seem to follow in their footsteps to some degree. I don't know how you couldn't. So we had that exact conversation just a day ago about the very thing you're talking about right now. It's remarkable. It's remarkable. This is fun. I want to do another question. I think, it's my turn. It's my turn, right?
It's your turn. It's your turn.
I'm just being a kid
How
here.
about, you know what? Because we have a little bit of time. How about if we do number 11?
Okay, I don't have that one in front of me, so you go for it.
Oh, you don't?
No, I don't have 11.
Oh, okay.
I took just a few out.
Oh. Oh, okay.
So that's when you buy
I'm
something
sorry.
expensive.
I'll do 11.
Do you think about whether it will appreciate or depreciate in the future?
Yes.
Right? So yes, no, sometimes, or life's too short. So basically, this question I wrote because millionaires think about what the major purchases that they make and whether they're going to appreciate or depreciate in the future. So they like to buy assets that appreciate, and the reason that they do is because they realize that the real measure of your wealth is your net worth, which is the sum of all of your assets minus all of your liabilities or your debt. That equals your net worth. And so if you have appreciating assets, things that go up in value over time, like your home, like your investment portfolio, like investment real estate, certain rare collections, like gemstones or certain antique cars or antique furniture, those kinds of things go up in value versus buying a lot of just contemporary furniture which doesn't go up in value, or big screen TVs or electronics equipment. Those things we know depreciate in value. So wealthy people are very, very conscious about what appreciates in value. That's why you see wealthy people always have these rare car collections, and they go and they buy rare gemstones, and they put their wealth in things that are rare because they're appreciating assets and they know it will increase their net worth. And John D. Rockefeller actually calculated his net worth every day. And I think that what you focus on expands. That's another mindset. And so he was focusing on his net worth, which caused it to expand every day. So
Interesting. I'm writing notes.
Yeah, so how would you, if you want to expand in that way, Linda, what would your suggestion be in order to get your mindset there to be able to do just that?
Well, first of all, you need to understand what are appreciating assets. That's important to get there. Secondly, as I mentioned about what you focus on expands, and one of the exercises that I've done with the two of you in our coaching is to get you to focus on the things that you're grateful for. And one of my favorite exercises, and this is in my money journal that I created for the Global Institute of Visionary Wealth, which is just a phenomenal tool for people to record their goals and progress in their wealth building, but also it gives little exercises in there that I created for them. And one of the exercises is to write down 100 things that you're grateful for. And it doesn't matter if it's people, things, thoughts, ideas, beliefs, whatever it is. It can be your dog's eyelashes. It doesn't matter. It's what are you grateful for? And to write down the 100 things you're grateful for will actually shift your mindset. And I know Brian has talked about how he feels like a completely different person because he's been focusing on his, what I call the gratitudes. And it puts you in a whole different mindset of being grateful, where you're able to see more opportunities. And it just, there's a whole, I could go on for an hour about what it does, but it really does create a completely different mindset that brings you closer to wealth. And maybe you can talk about what you felt since you've done your gratitudes. How has that changed for you?
Yeah, it's transformational. It truly is. It's nothing. It's not hocus pocus. It's not magic. It's just it puts you in a different mindset, as Linda has been explaining, where you write a list. I've actually written it on my BlackBerry phone in a notes section, so I have it with me at all times, and I can call it up immediately, instantly, and read through what I'm grateful for. And I never even reached 100. To be honest, I am grateful for so many things, but I'm a simple guy. But anyway, there were a lot of things that I'm grateful for that I would read over each and every day, and I've done this to some degree in the past, but now more concentrated since we've been working with Linda. And I've gone through a transformation. It just kind of hit me about 3 weeks ago, as we were talking about this yesterday, where the little things, just the little things that would annoy a person like they used to annoy me, were suddenly just, oh, no big deal. I just relaxed and move on. It's not that important. That it put a calm in my life, number one. And with that calm enables you to then focus on the things that will send you forward, not thinking on the negatives like debt. Debt is a big thing that it's an overbearing weight that a lot of us feel, and it continually presses down upon you. But if if you enact on the things Linda is talking about right now, and especially the gratitude, you start to feel that weight lift off of you. Any negative weight starts to lift off of you, and you start to see the silver lining in anything and everything. You're driving down the road and it's raining. A lot of people, oh, what a nasty, horrible, yicky day. And it's like, man, this is gorgeous. Roll down the window a little bit, smell it, let it touch you, hit you on the arm. It's, you have a whole different attitude about life in general, and that will set your mind in the proper direction so you can be more productive when it comes time to do business. So it's been transformational.
Absolutely. Yeah, great.
Yeah, I would agree with that in personal areas as well as business, and I think that Brian can attest that the transformational changes in going through the list that we've made, and we've not seen each other's. We're keeping those personal, but we discussed together the things that we have noticed and the changes that we're enjoying in our business life, and it's absolutely amazing. I think you find yourself looking at areas and looking at things differently, like Brian was talking about the rain. You see things in a different light, and you have an appreciation for things around you and people around you in a different manner. We had a guy on our show, Jabez Lebret, that was talking about contribution and doing things in a different light. And I think that coupled with, and we actually had started working the information that Linda gave us prior to Jabez's time with us, but it gave us a whole different concept, a different feel, just an amazing, like Brian said, transformation in what's been happening not only in our personal lives but also in what's happening with our business. So it's an amazing thing, amazing.
Great.
And we speak of the truth. This is absolute truth. This is, again, this is what Kathy and I talk about. One of the many things we talk about, because we are learning from mentors like Linda. We are learning from past guests like Jabez Lebret with contribution leadership is what he has. That's a phenomenal concept, and he's got a great thing going there too.
I love his message.
Yes, with Spike Humor, I can go on and on and on with the guests we've had on our show that have helped Kathy and I immensely. Just by having this show, we are learning an invaluable amount of information. You cannot put a price on it. So with that, I would say everyone be sure to watch this show again, definitely after it's recorded and finished, but also go back to other past shows. You will learn just an unbelievable amount of information, and it doesn't cost a dime currently to go back and look at those shows. Okay, now it's my turn again.
And we're on Blog Talk Radio.
Yes. Oh, that's right.
And we're on Blog Talk Radio
That's
tonight.
Right. Don't forget Blog Talk Radio. Yes.
We believe it's working.
The simulcast, our first ever. We're stretching the horizon of technology.
Our first simulcast.
All right, here's another question that Linda has come up with. Do you have a written plan to build wealth that includes a deadline? And the options or the potential answers are yes, no, I know it in my head, but it's not written down, or I'll get around to it someday, or I love this one, I had one, but my dog ate it. That's my favorite.
A little humor there.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's important for people to have a written plan, which is why we wanted to talk about the Wealth Blueprint too, because that was my written plan when I wrote down the 8 steps and really followed that blueprint that created the blueprint for me and the 8 steps to wealth. But everybody needs that blueprint, and one of my very favorite stories about the funniest blueprint to have is Jim Carrey, the actor, and how he wrote a check to himself for $10 million before he was a famous actor, and put it out, dated it a few years into the future, and then almost to the day that he wrote that date and wrote that check, he received an offer to act for $10 million in a movie.
Goodness.
And so that, I don't think is a coincidence. I really believe in teaching about how to manifest like that. And I know it sounds kind of woo-woo, and Brian worries about that woo-woo stuff, but It really, there is a lot to it, but it's not enough just to write the check. There are very specific steps that people have to go through, and one of those steps is to have the belief that you will receive that money. And so my blog post that I wrote today, that's at the Global Institute of Visionary Wealth.com, is about the power of belief. And so if you want to go there and read it, you can, read what I have to say about believing in your future and believing in your future goals and believing the future plan that you create for yourself, believing that that will come true for you, is just a crucial part of the steps and part of the wealthy mindset that I teach.
Yeah, but a lot of that.
Well, I just actually.
Go ahead, Kathy.
I was going to say, I just received a Skype from a friend and viewer, Terry Smith. He's in the Toronto, Canada area, and he was just asking if you were going to touch any more on the 8 steps to wealth. You had talked about up to 4 and that there was more, and his question was, do you have a PDF or something that that you would provide for people, and if so, where could they go for that?
Absolutely. Thank you for asking. If you go to Global Institute of Visionary Wealth, or GIVW site, S-I-T-E, or click on the link, as Brian's indicating, the link below, or on my nose, I guess. If you opt in there, the free gifts that I give you are a free report that lists the 8 steps, and it gives you a paragraph about each one of them, tells you what they are. Which I'll go through those 2 in just a second. It gives you the Will You Be Wealthy quiz that we've been talking about, so you can take that. I think there's 14 questions. There's also a free little mini video course that I have, so every day you get a little video from me, and it reviews the 8 steps to wealth. So that is there as well. And there's also an audio download, which was my first interview on the Internet Citadel with Brian and Kathy, and that talks about some different things than we're talking about tonight, but that audio interview is available for a download. So you get all of that when you opt in, and plus my free weekly e-zine, my blog. So you'll get all of that when you opt into Global Institute of visionarywealth.com, or GIVW site, SITE.com for short. And there's also a whole bunch of videos on that website that I have made, very short 2-3 minute videos that you can watch, and also videos from other people that I have chosen and put on my website. And if you don't mind, Brian and Kathy, I just would like to go through the 8 steps really quickly so people have a sense of what they are. They're very, very simple steps. They're not always easy to do, but they're very simple and they're very logical. The first step is to have a wealthy mindset. And as I said, having a wealthy mindset is the foundation of all wealth. You must believe that you can be wealthy. You have to, have thoughts, vision, a plan, etc. There's a whole lot of parts to the wealthy mindset, but you have to have the belief that you can become wealthy and that you do deserve wealth. So that's step number 1. Step number 2 is saving a nest egg. So then you need to start saving some money in order to accumulate a little bit of a nest egg. Step 3 is finding a mentor, and I would love to be your guide. That's my role in life, and I hope to do that for a lot of people on this planet, and we're going to have a lot of fun doing that through monthly teleclasses and such that I'm teaching at the Global Institute of Visionary Wealth. Step 4 is investing in a money engine, and that could be having your own business, it could be investing in the stock market, it could be investing in real estate, it could be any number of things, but having a money engine to grow your money is very, very important. And then the next step is to leverage wisely. That's step number 5. So as I mentioned, other people's wealth, using debt as a tool at the right time and in the right way is very important. Step 7 is to protect your wealth. So that is deleveraging at the right time so that you're not over levered and don't do a round trip back to zero again after you built your wealth, which many people have done, many billionaires have done, unfortunately, because they stayed too levered too long. So protecting your wealth is a very important step. And then the 8th step is to give it away and create your legacy. So that's all about tithing, giving money to charity, which I feel very strongly about, helps build wealth, and also creating your legacy and showing that you lived here and contributing back to humankind. So those are the 8 steps. And again, that's in the free report if you go to globalinstituteofvisionarywealth.com.
And if you're watching on the
Beautiful.
internetcitadel.com, just click on the link beneath, and it has her banner there with the moniker of Global Institute of Visionary Wealth. Click on that, and on the right-hand side of the page that you come to is the opt-in form that she's talking about. Just fill in your valid email address there, and you will get instant access to the goodies she just mentioned. And they're more than goodies. They're
And Brian,
invaluable.
if they're on Blog Talk Radio,
And if they're on Blog Talk Radio, you want to head on over
and if they're on Blog Talk Radio
to the internetcitadel.com
too,
and click on her link. Or if you don't see her picture anymore, if you're watching this or listening to this on Blog Talk Radio and this is a recording, go to the past shows link at the top of internetcitadel.com. Click on that, and you can scroll down and find this show in the list there near the bottom, where I think we're show 29 right now. And you'll see Linda's name there. You just click on the link associated with that. That will take you right to the recording of the video portion. But that it will also take you to a page that has this banner that you see beneath us right now live intact. And you can click on that, and you will still be taken to the proper place. Or you can go directly to globalinstituteofvisionarywealth.com, or the short version was once again, Linda, it was
GIVW site, S-I-T-E, so G-I-V like visionary, W like wealth, S-I-T-E.com. And right now, under the, if you click on the membership benefits part there on the website, we have a special for our 1-year membership, and you'll save $90 right now during our pre-launch. We're in pre-launch this month until June
Wonderful.
30th. So it's really a great deal. I made it extremely affordable, less than 50 cents a day for you to join and to learn about wealth and hear wealth building experts besides myself speak as well.
And that membership was annual, is that correct? It's a fee, an annual based
Yes.
fee. Now, for those that don't know, the
It's
full
an annual based.
yeah, the full price is a great discount. You won't believe the full price, and she's discounted even further. It's a no-brainer. Get in touch, get connected with Linda P. Jones, because we know from personal experience. You can see that our passion as we're talking about her, what she's done, not just for us but with us. We consider her a true friend. She is not one of those that are just gimme, gimme, gimme. She is a true giver. So she doesn't just talk the talk, she walks the walk. And we are blessed beyond belief to have gotten to know her, and we're looking forward to a very, very long friendship as we go forward. So definitely get connected with Linda.
The same way.
And I would just like to interject as we get ready to close here, because Blog Talk Radio, as Linda and Brian both know, you get 1 hour, not a minute before, not a minute after. So for our Blog Talk Radio guests, we are getting ready to cut off our time here. So we want to say thank you for attending via Blog Talk Radio. And please go to the links that you heard Brian and Linda both talk about. And we look forward to doing the simulcast again with you next time. And then for the Internet Citadel Show live streaming, here we are again at the end of an hour. Can you believe it? It absolutely flies by.
It does.
It's absolutely crazy. But I'll tell you what, it's been a pure delight to have you back, Linda, with us. Brian and I just think the world of you, But we share in the vision that you have to do what you do globally, and it's so important right now, in particular because of the way that our economy is, but just to help people in general. And you just have a gift to give that is unlike anybody else. And with that, I'm going to say thank you for coming on. I'm going to turn it back over to my friend and business partner Brian. And Linda, thanks again.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, and I just want to say to everybody, thank you so much for spending your valuable time. For those of you watching the recording, if you look at the date, this was a date where the Lakers are playing the Celtics, Game 3 of the Finals. If you are watching this, and if you're watching this live, you are definitely going to be successful, because it's killing me, but I love Linda more than I love the Lakers. That's why I am here right now, because this truly is important information. And all kidding aside, stuff like that, sports, if you're a guy and you're into sports, I'm not a nut about it, but I do enjoy it. If if you have a choice between sports and something like this, and you choose sports all the time, you may not be on the right track. And I'll just leave it that as it is. You need to refocus, rechannel. What are you truly passionate about? If it's sports, then that's what you're passionate about, and it's going to be a struggle. That's just an example. But anyway, I want to thank everybody for their valuable time
Whatever
coming
you
on the show.
focus on expands, right?
There you go. There you go. Hey,
Yeah.
I should have focused
Love
on
it.
being able to dunk.
So if,
But but I want to thank you, Linda, most of all for coming on our show once again, a second time. And thankfully, our technology worked this time. We have a
you.
good, clean recording this time. I can't say enough glowing things about you. But we are out of time. I'm sure Blog Talk Radio has cut us off by now. What we'd like to do is honor everyone else's valuable time as well and end this show as close to on time as we possibly can. We will see you again. What was the next date, Kathy? We won't be here next week. I'm going to be out of town on a summer vacation with my family, but we'll be coming back.
So it's the Tuesday after that, whatever the date is, 20...
2 weeks from today, then. Okay.
Something.
So 14th, 22nd
Yeah.
or so. So we'll be back.
25th?
If you want to get automatic
Okay.
notification, just click on the register link directly above in the middle of the page and just enter your information there. We will get the information to you exactly when and where and who is going to be in that show as well. But again, Linda, thank you. Kathy, thank you. And for all of you watching and listening.
my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. And for all those watching and listening, thank you as well. We will see you again in 2 weeks. All right. Bye-bye now.
2 weeks.
Okay. Good night.
Good night.